You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. I am your host, Chris Shanafelt, and joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is 2016 NFL Draft prospect Kieren Duncan, wide receiver and return specialist out of Division II's Colorado State Pueblo. We have the Thunderwolves represented here today, and we appreciate you taking some time to join the show this afternoon, Kieren. A few weeks ago, you had an opportunity to participate in the NFL Regional Combine out in Arizona, where you really put up some very impressive numbers. You ran a 4.32 40-yard dash, 4.01 shuttle, a 10.5 broad jump, and a 36-inch vertical. Talk about your preparation for the Regional Combine, and did you have any idea that you would put up those type of numbers?
Yeah. Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me on the show. First of all, yeah, I've been training out in Exos this entire time out here in Arizona. So the coaches have been great. Really awesome facility. Every single day, we practice, 40 starts and broad jumps and the technique for the shuttle. So I was pretty confident. I was putting up some pretty good numbers when I was here. Working but I mean I PR'd at every event when I got to the regional, so it was pretty cool. Our coach kept telling us, PRs happen at the event, so it was just really, really fun to go out there and just put all that hard work to practice, honestly.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I believe doing some research for this interview, Kieren, I've seen that you have your high school, you hold your high school record of a 40-yard dash, which was 4.32 as well, according to the Colorado State Pueblo Athletics website. So that's pretty cool that you're able to get that exact same time there at the Arizona Regional Combine. Heading into the Combine, I mean, was there something that you had in your mind or that anything that you wanted to prove to scouts that you're capable of doing? I mean, maybe there was something that scouts aren't very sure that you have the ability to do or not. Was there anything that you had in mind that you really wanted to, prove to scouts that you were able to do? Were there any questions about your game that you felt the need that you had to answer there on the field?
I think there's always kind of a little question mark when you're coming out of a D2 program. Some guys it might be they weren't recruited great out of high school. Other guys, might not have the grades. Some might not be as big or pass the eyeball test. So for me, it was just kind of going out there with a lot of other D1 athletes and, a lot of great smaller school athletes as well, and just proving that, talent comes from other levels as well. I knew that I would run a pretty fast time. So I mean, my biggest thing was going in there and just working on my technique. Not to get overwhelmed by the moment. Make sure that all the routes are still crisp. You still focus on your technique and hit all your cuts, catch the ball in your hands, everything like that. So I think that was my biggest my biggest focus was just going in there and just trying to prove myself as look, there's other people at different levels that can play at the next level as well.
And I think you certainly proved that. I mean, if the tape isn't enough, I mean, those numbers are very impressive to say the least. What was some of the feedback that you've received from the scouts that were there in attendance at the Arizona Regional Combine? By any chance, were you able to chat with any teams following your workout, or have you heard from anybody since then?
Honestly, it was kind of strange. The Regional Combine was very, very quiet. There's a lot of scouts there in attendance, but none of them really said too much. So it kind of felt a little nerve-wracking. You had everybody watching you, and only the combine directors were really saying a lot. So after the combine, I didn't meet with any scouts or anything at the facility. I heard from a scout from the Chicago Bears who actually used to recruit me when I was in high school, funnily enough. So was pretty cool. He was he was really impressed with my numbers there, and wanted to see some tape of me returning, so all my punt returns and kick returns. So that's been the only talks I've had with any scouts after the combine. I spoke with a few NFL teams during the season, but right now that's been the extent of conversation with everybody right now.
Yeah, crazy coincidence, a guy that was recruiting you coming out of high school, and there he is, now with the Chicago. But we're actually out of Chicago, so that will also be a funny coincidence if somehow you land in the navy blue and orange here in Chicago. We all know that they do need some wide receiver depth, and this special teams could certainly use the help in the return game as well. Do you know your current measurements as to height and weight?
Height I'm sitting at right around 5'11", and then weight is about 176, 177 right now. I'm trying to get to about 180.
All right, sounds good. And what exactly are your plans now up until the draft? Are we going to be participating in any pro days, or are you pretty much just going to let those regional combine numbers speak for themselves? What's next as we now are in this home stretch now, this home stretch for the NFL draft, as it's just over a month away?
Yeah, it's coming down to crunch time. So I'll be participating at my school's pro day. CSU-Pueblo will be having a pro day at the end of March 28th. So I'll be there. That'll be the only pro day that I'm doing. And I will perform all the tests there. Try to lower some of those numbers a little bit more, hopefully, and go from there. Hopefully we can get some private workouts going.
Absolutely, sounds great. Who knows? Maybe you could lower that 4.32 40 to a 4.1 whatever, like that Wendell Williams guy over at the, I believe, Minnesota Regional Combine. That's insane. But 4.32 is blazing speed as well. We are chatting with Kieren Duncan, the wide receiver and return specialist out of CSU-Pueblo, here on the CS podcast, presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. And Kieren, over the last 2 years, you have been Pueblo's leading wide receiver. Looking at your junior year, you reeled in 45 receptions for over 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. That of course, was the same year you guys finished 14-1 and defeated Minnesota State Mankato in the Division II National Championship game. Just looking at that season as a whole, when did you know that you guys had something special brewing that season? And what was that experience like, being able to play in the game that, before the season begins is what you guys all dream about and envision playing in?
It was incredible. The season as a whole is kind of storybook, fate, destiny, magical, whatever you want to call it. But I think the time that we kind of realized that we were on to something special was the second week. We traveled down to Sam Houston, which is a very, very successful and competitive D1 AA program. We went down there in Texas into a hostile environment and really just balled out. I think the ending score, I can't remember exactly, but it was 42 to maybe 14 or something like that. So it was a really, really big win at a program, that was a level higher than us. And I think from there, everybody was like, okay, we really have something special brewing here. And then we actually suffered an upset loss to Fort Lewis in the middle of the year by, I believe, a point. And it was kind of then that, everybody kind of took a step back and was like, look, people aren't going to lay down for us in our conference. Everybody's going to give us their best game. And, we have to come out and fight for everything. And I think from there we had that sort of caged animal kind of mindset back in the corner. We were playing for not just a perfect record anymore, but, for our season. And I think that kind of adversity that we had to go through really woke up the program. And, the rest is Pueblo history, we went out there and took care of business, and it was really, really awesome to just go out there with and accomplish, that goal, like you said, which has been, that was one of the things that Coach Riston, who recruited me, that was one of his selling points. We were trying to win a national championship, and to be able to accomplish that in one of my 4 years there was an experience of a lifetime.
And you know what? It sounds as if that loss to Fort Lewis, I mean, as you said, it kind of, woke you guys up and, you guys realized, hey, this isn't going to be easy. We got to give it 100% each and every week. And we kind of hear that quite a few times. I mean, we heard it just this past season in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, they had that perfect streak going. I think it wasn't until week 15 until they got their first loss. And then maybe, they probably had that same mindset where it's like, hey, you know what, we're coming down to the end of the regular season. There's no way we could allow a loss in the playoffs, so they got to step it up. And obviously they were in the Super Bowl, but obviously you guys in the Division II level of college football, that one loss, midway through the season, obviously did a lot for you guys' confidence, I got to think, with your mindset and heading into the second half of that season and the playoffs, and then, of course, being able to play in and win the Division II national championship your junior season. And this past season, your senior year, Kieren, I mean, there was a lot of key pieces from that national championship winning team that we're missing. I mean, quarterback Chris Bonner, wide receiver Paul Browning, Darius Allen, Gerard Lacey on the defense, Big Josh on that defensive line. I mean, I can't think that it was easy for you guys to replace them, but you guys did what you guys had to do. The coaching staff had you guys ready, and you guys were able to finish the regular season 10-1. You guys defeated Indianapolis and Midwestern State in the first two rounds of the playoffs before falling to Grand Valley State in the quarterfinals of the playoff. You led your team for a second straight year in receiving with 36 receptions, over 620 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Looking at an overview of your collegiate career, though, I mean, your 4 years at CSU-Pueblo, would you say that you've achieved everything that you desired to coming in?
That's a tough question. I mean, certainly, the relationships and some of the accomplishments as far as championships and stuff like that are obviously, things that, we're sitting here talking about it, and, some people have never even been fortunate enough to get to that stage. So I think to be blessed enough to be in a national championship and, win 4 conference championships in my time there, I think absolutely, winning and building a program that's not only, winning, but a dynasty in the D2 level, or at least conference level, is something that, nobody can ever take away. Personally wise, I think there's always room for improvement. I was plagued with injuries a little bit throughout my college career, nagging hamstring issues and whatnot. There's a lot of adversity that the team had to overcome. Just this last year, our starting quarterback Malcolm Rubin broke his collarbone in the second game of the year. So we had an awesome redshirt freshman step up in A.J. Thompson, and he was able to lead us to the quarterfinals. So I think there was a lot of adversity, a lot of things that didn't exactly go, ideal. But I think that's kind of reminiscent of football's nature anyway. I mean, things are always going to be thrown at you, and there's always going to be room for improvement. But at the same time, you have to learn to roll with the punches and make the best of, bad situations sometimes. And I think, over my 4 years, through awesome coaching and just great teammates, I've been able to not only enjoy, but, really, really succeed at the college level. And it's been absolute blast.
And here you are now gearing up, looking forward to getting an opportunity, working for an opportunity to play at the next level. When did you decide that you're going to give the whole professional football thing a shot, though? I mean, I know for most collegiate athletes, the dream is always to go pro at whatever their respected sport is. But as we know, only a few so many get to actually live their dream out and play in the National Football League. When exactly did you realize that you were going to give this thing all that you had?
I mean, it's kind of always been, like you said, it's always been a dream. It's always been something that, you've dreamed of doing ever since, starting Pop Warner football. You dream of getting to the next level and making, varsity on a high school team. And once you do that, your next level is going on and playing, college at a university. And then, obviously after that, some people are completely fine with that, and that's great. But yeah, I've always aspired to play in the NFL. It's always been a goal of mine. And I mean, my parents have always been 100% supportive of that. They've always, told me to never stop, giving it all I got, never give up on your dreams. And I mean, I think really, when the turning point was we had an opportunity to either stay in Colorado and try to train somewhere there and also finish my degree, or come back home and really give this thing 100% and train at Exos and do some online classes and go back and finish my degree later. And it was definitely a tough decision because I mean, I've always been a student athlete. The student portion always has come first for me. And I've been, very, very diligent in my studies all 4 years, right around a 3.5 GPA. So the academic side of it was very difficult to kind of turn my back on and say, look, I'm going to completely pursue this football thing. But after a lot of conversation with my parents and close family friends, it was kind of like, you don't want to look back and see that you could have done more. You don't want to sit there and say, oh, well, what if I would have given my all to it? If I don't make it and, I give 100% and it doesn't work out, then at least I know that I exhausted every single option and put everything into it. There's no regrets. If I wouldn't have done that, then, I would always sit back and look back on it and say, well, what if? I would always have that little nagging doubt. So I think that was kind of the big step for me in just saying, you know what, we're gonna give this all I got and let God and everything else take its hand in the matter. So.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, leave no stone unturned. I mean, you're going for it, and you're
exactly.
Obviously doing everything you can to again make this dream a reality. Now, let's say you had to create a scouting report of yourself and list a strength and a weakness of yourself. I mean, what do you think those would consist of?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm not good at bragging about myself at all, but
well, at least here we're giving you an opportunity to not only brag about yourself, but then you can bring yourself down a little bit as well.
Yeah, I would say that. Be able to stretch the field vertically, but also can run the whole gauntlet, the whole tree of routes. A sure-handed receiver, gives 100% on the field. Okay, I can be more aggressive blocking, but I think this last year I've really improved in that aspect. And then special on special teams, been able to make something and get those hidden yardage on punt return and kick return. So.
All right. I like it. Sounds great. And let's say, looking at over the last 4 years, I mean, you've mentioned it. You've been able to play a pretty solid, FCS team in Sam Houston State, but and maybe it was somebody from Sam Houston State, maybe it was somebody from a fellow RMAC opponent. Who would you say is the best player that you've had to line up against over the last 4 years? I mean, is there anybody specific that comes to mind that you knew going into that week it was going to be a dogfight?
Oh, wow. Honestly, no disrespect to any other players that I've played against. But I think I think something that was really, really cool about CSU-Pueblo was we constantly faced the best DBs and defense at our division every single week. So when we were going up against ones-on-ones, good versus good, I think those one-on-one matches with our own corners were really stuff that got you primed and ready to go for anybody that we were facing that week. So the two people that come to mind at the corner level would be C.J. Roberts, who just graduated a couple of years ago after that national championship season. He's with Tampa Bay, and Steph Dickens, who also graduated after that season. Going up against them in practice every single week was, competitive. It was back-to-back. So, I mean, I have a ton of respect for those guys and how they played the game. And hopefully I'll be lining up and competing with CJ a little bit more in the coming months and coming years. So.
Again, he's Kieren Duncan, the speedy wide receiver and return specialist out of Colorado State Pueblo, joining me here on the CS podcast, presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible as he gets set for the 2016 NFL Draft. And Kieren, is the small school label something that you'll embrace? I mean, being from the Division II ranks, obviously being from one of the top Division II programs always helps, but being from the Division II ranks, being from a program that it is possible to go pro, but not many do. Is that something that you'll kind of embrace as you go along on this professional journey of yours?
Oh, no doubt. I think I'm very, very proud to have been a Thunderwolf and to have completed my college career at CSU Pueblo. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, we've been able to accomplish some great things. We've put out a lot of great players, some of which who are still in the league today, as far as Ryan Jensen and C.J. Roberts and also Mike Pennell. And we still have plenty of other players playing at the next level, whether it be CFL or arena, as far as Chris Bonner and Paul Browning from that national championship season. So I think it's definitely something that I'm going to embrace. It's going to be something that'll stick with me and be part of my football identity forever. And I mean, like I said, I'm completely proud to have come from that school, and I want to show other people and other kids, who might be a little bit discouraged if they don't get D1 offers or anything like that, and end up going to a smaller school, that they're if you have talent, the NFL will find you, and just keep working hard, and hopefully, everything like that pays off. So yes, it is definitely going to be something that I keep with me and embrace.
And you've made a name for yourself. We've already talked about not only wide receiver, you've also talked about the importance of special teams in the return game. Just this past season, you had a 98-yard kick return for a touchdown. How important is that, the ability to play special teams, the ability that you bring to play special teams, especially for a smaller school guy who will, likely be a late round or priority free agent like yourself, who will be battling for a roster spot this summer? How important is the ability to play special teams along with your wide receiver skills as well?
I think it's everything. I think the more skills and the more stuff you bring to the table and the more ways that you can help a team out, just gives them, more reasons to keep you around. It's harder to cut a guy and get rid of a guy who, can do different things. If I go in there and, I'm not the first string receiver or anything like that, I know that I can possibly contribute to a team straight away through a kick return or punt return. So I think it just takes your game to something that's more than one-dimensional. You have plenty of different ways to get the ball in your hands and help your team, and that was my biggest thing. Coach Risto didn't actually have me back there on punt return at the start of the season because he told me that he wanted to protect me a little bit. He didn't want me to take unnecessary hits and everything like that. And, I pushed for the job from the get-go. I told him, look, I want the job. I want to be able to help the team. Whatever I can do that will help the team, let me do it. So it's not about, it's not about me being an individual or anything like that. I just want to be able to contribute in all the ways that I can. And I think being able to be a wide receiver who can catch passes and then also step in the return game is a big factor when it comes to getting scouted and hopefully making that roster spot.
Right, and let's say a team looks to keep 6 wide receivers on their active roster, and before the final cuts, let's say they have 8 on the roster currently. They'll look at what a player could bring on another phase in special teams. And obviously you bring that. We've talked about that. And again, not only can you impact the game at wide receiver, but on special teams as well. And it's a phase that it sure sounds like you take a lot of pride in. And Kieren, we're going to end this interview with something that I like to call the 2-minute drill. Some of these questions will be football related, and some will be random questions, just about anything. You ready to knock some of these out, my friend?
All right, let's do it.
All right, well, we'll start off with a pretty easy one. Favorite TV show and movie?
Favorite TV show of all time would have to be Friends. I love that movie. I have all box sets or all seasons on box set DVD. Favorite movie would probably, that one's a tough one. Probably something Amazing Spider-Man related, maybe Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Friends and Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2. Hey, you can't go wrong. I'll say that. Who would you say you model your game after? I mean, growing up, is there anybody that you kind of looked up to and try to add, a couple of, pieces to their game and kind of add it onto your own or anything like that?
Well, always growing up, I always really, really loved and idolized Jerry Rice. He was also a small school receiver who made it into the league and is now, undoubtedly or widely recognized as the best receiver to ever play the game. Currently, I see myself in, the John Brown in Arizona and the Tavon Austin, in St. Louis. So those kind of smaller but speedy guys who, are dangerous in the slot, dangerous vertical threats, and can also, can attack the game from a return game standpoint as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you bring up the John Brown and the Tavon Austin guys because I kid you not, while watching some of your film, one of the names that kind of popped into my mind what was a name that not too many people bring up, at least nowadays, because his career was unfortunately cut short. But while he was in the league, he really had a big impact, and that's Johnny Knox. Former Chicago Bear. Yep. He went to Abilene Christian. He's a guy that I've seen a lot of similarities to your game as well. I mean, had all the speed in the world, made impacts on special teams, was able to play in the slot, out on the outside as well, and was really, that guy was a ton of fun to watch. But that was one of the guys that kind of came to my mind when watching some Kieren Duncan film of CSU-Pueblo.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
My next question, if you had a round-trip plane ticket to travel anywhere you wanted, where are you headed?
Probably to Jamaica. I have some family out there, and my mom was born in Jamaica. My grandma was born in Jamaica, so probably go out there, visit some family, and get back to the roots a little bit.
Okay. Hey, nice. That's a place that's certainly on the top of my list as well. Pretty cool to know. I got to think that your family is from there as well. I mean, I don't have any family in Jamaica, but I would just go to have a great time and kind of just explore. But that's awesome. Jamaica sounds good. What's that?
Got to taste the local cuisine too.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Let's say you could go one-on-one with any defensive back currently playing in the NFL. Who are you going to take a chance on?
I would like to go up against, you know, a Richard Sherman or a Josh Norman. Those are, you know, the top guys. Of course, Patrick Peterson as well. Some of the top guys in the league. You know, I'd like to just see where I'm at. That'd be fun to compete and test myself a little bit.
And hey, you know, as they say, to be the best, you have to beat the best. So to certainly challenge all those guys.
Exactly. Got to call out somebody higher up. Got to compete.
No doubt, and we know that those defensive backs, at least Richard Sherman and Josh Norman, they like to do a lot of talking. Do you also talk a lot on the field? I mean, you get a nice, you know, 15, 20-yard reception on a defensive back. You gonna be jotting at them a little bit?
I'm honestly not a big talker. I don't really talk a lot of mess like that. I'm very, you know, reserved and very, very calm. But I mean, when I make a big play, I get hyped. I get amped up. You know, my teammates and everything. You know, that energy gets to me. But I'm never really one to talk too much stuff. So it'll be interesting if that aspect of my game has to evolve a little bit if I get into a camp with a team.
Yeah, that's funny, man. That's funny. But we'll have to keep an eye out for that for sure. Final question. Let's say we got all 32 NFL general managers lined up. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the wide receiver out of CSU-Pueblo, Kieren Duncan, a part of their squad? I mean, what exactly is he going to bring to better an NFL organization?
Oh, wow. You know, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for a shot. I'm hungry for an opportunity. I've been working at this my entire life. I know all I need is, you know, an opportunity to get in there with somebody, and I'm going to give my all to a program. I'm going to do anything I can to help the team and give you my 100%. Every follicle of my being will go into making your organization better and trying to help you win games. So all I'm asking for is an opportunity.
And that's all you need. You just need one team to take a shot on you, and then after that, the rest could be history. I appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. It's really been a pleasure chatting with you. Congratulations on not only the success that you had at CSU-Pueblo, but a few weeks ago as well at the Arizona Regional Combine. And, of course, we're wishing you all the best later on this month at the CSU-Pueblo Pro Day. And it certainly looks like you have a bright future, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity to come onto your show. It's been a blast.